Hi everyone, Grada Robertson here from the Purple House Wellness Center in Forth, doing my Facebook Live on Thursday night called You're the Miracle FM. Welcome back after a busy week. I'm really looking forward to sharing some great stuff with you tonight that's going to help you feel more relaxed, less stressed, and help you live from a more expanded and open state. Most of us end up living from a place where we actually don't want to come from, like with our hearts closed and our minds closed, and going through the motions of the day, and then we wonder how we've got there. So tonight I want to just open the window a little bit, let in some fresh energy, and to give you a new lease of life. Hi everyone, thanks for watching and tuning in. And so I have a really great subject tonight that I'll share in a minute, but first I want to just quickly go over how you can live from a more expanded state, so like not in contraction, because when we live in contraction, life loses its magic, and we get into a rut, and we're not living our purpose. So we often do it different ways, and I often go back to energy work or mastering your energy, because that's what I feel passionate about, and that gives you very quick results. So you can look back at previous Facebook Lives for that. And also sometimes I get you to tune into your emotions, especially your negative ones like fear, sadness and anger and so on. Because we suffer a lot when we ignore our emotions or we fight our emotions. Actually, I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he's been fighting his anxiety and his depression and fighting his anger and, fight. And he actually started to become extremely suicidal. So the more you fight your emotions, the more pain you'll suffer. The more you fight your thoughts, the more pain you'll suffer, and also, of course, the more you fight your energy. So fighting is not a good way. It doesn't work for us. So with your emotions, you need to lean into your emotions. Like if you feel sadness, shut the door or sit on the toilet with a box of tissues or watch something sad, and intensify that feeling, and when you go through it, on the other side is freedom. So we've already talked about that a lot. I haven't talked much at all about what you can do with your thinking, how you can change your thinking very quickly. I've mentioned sometimes briefly, like, is your thinking stinking? That's a good one to remember. Like, you catch yourself doing some stinking thinking, and you're not feeling very good. But this week I've been going back to a wonderful wise woman called Byron Katie. I'll post the link below. You can go to her website and download her worksheet, which she calls the work in capital letters. And it's 4 questions. So Katie, or Byron, I'm not sure exactly what you should call her. She, when she was in the 40s, she'd been suffering so intensely from depression and anxiety that she didn't even sleep on a bed anymore. She was sleeping on the floor because she felt she wasn't worth sleeping on a bed. And she was just in an absolutely terrible place, hostile to everyone, and in the worst black pits, you could say. And she'd been there and damaged all her relationships for like 3 decades already. So she was in the 40s, and then one day she had an epiphany when she woke up and she realized that she'd always bought into her thoughts, her thinking, like everything she thought about her whole life. She suddenly realized it wasn't true. It was just an illusion. Anyway, you can read it yourself. And so she, from that moment on, and she was 100 pounds overweight, so she weighed 200 pounds. From that moment on, she hasn't suffered since. So that was in 1986. So, that's already 30 years ago. I think she's 76 now, and she still goes around the world teaching the work. It's very simple, and you go to a website and do it yourself. So you just answer 4 questions. So she believes we suffer because we believe all our thoughts. We believe our stressful thoughts, rather. So if you have a good thought like, oh, I'm a wonderful human being, I'm lovable, I'm loving, I'm loved, you know, you don't need to question that, because that's actually the truth of who we are. If you have a stressful thought though, and apparently 60,000 thoughts per day are stressful and judgmental about ourselves, so those are the thoughts we need to question. So I'll just see if I remember the questions. So let's say we go around the house, we wake up in the morning and then we walk around the house and we already start to get defensive. We're actually waiting for things to jump out. Let's say you open your email or your Facebook and you're waiting for somebody to attack you or to judge you, or you wait for your husband to say something, or you look in the mirror and you think, oh, well, that's yucky or that's too fat, and the judgments start flowing out, the negative thoughts start coming in, and they take our joy away. So she believes this, and I found this really interesting, actually, that really helped me this week. I'd forgotten about it. So Katie, she believes that our thoughts actually don't come from us. They are just flowing through the universe. And we are simply a receiving station, like a radio station. And we dial into all these thoughts. And then it's like, this is our mind. I actually found some Velcro here. Like, see, for people who don't know what Velcro is, it's from my sewing days. Okay, let's say this is a piece of Velcro. This is your mind. When you wake up in the morning, maybe if you're lucky, you haven't got any thoughts yet. And suddenly, okay, here is a whole bunch of thoughts coming along. That is my wall that the cats got into. So let's say you go like this. Okay, so now your day looks like this. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And maybe you have a partner or a friend or somebody who rings you, and now his Velcro is like that. That's his mind, and you have a big natter about maybe you have a gossip about somebody, or you think about the state of the world or politicians, and you agree because actually birds of a feather flock together. And now that confirms to you that what you just thought and believed is totally true, because here's somebody else who thinks like that. And this is actually how churches are formed and religions are formed, and political parties are formed, because we tend to align ourselves with at the same frequency that we emit, but it actually didn't come from us. We think we've got autonomy, but most of my thoughts probably come from my mom and dad, and so my thoughts might already be 90 years old, and their thoughts came from their parents and so on. And my mom was always very catastrophic, so extremely catastrophic, like crazy, paranoid maybe. So when I have paranoid thoughts, I think, oh yeah, that's my mom, and I catch myself do it. So that helps me a little bit, but most of the time we actually haven't got a clue how far sunk we are in our thoughts, because we simply believe everything, and that continues our suffering, and I'll pass it down to my children and so on. So it's got to stop. And by the way, I want to say something interesting that a horticulturalist once told me, that grasshoppers, when their numbers are limited, grasshoppers stay grasshoppers. But if you have a lot of grasshoppers, let's say suddenly there is a certain amount, let's say 1 million, all springing to life, coming out, suddenly when they reach a certain numbers, they suddenly start to release a hormone, and they become locusts, right? And locusts, then you have a locust plague, and they swarm, they go onto the farms and eat the farms bare, and then the people starve. But if their numbers are sort of small enough, they don't release that hormone, and they stay grasshoppers, and they don't do any damage. So I think that's a really good analogy with our thoughts, especially unquestioned thoughts. People, you get in this kind of fake news and mass hysteria, and we don't want to be part of that. Really, you don't want to be part of that. So Katie, yes, so she was amazing. She changed so much that immediately she started to help everyone, even people in prisons, and she's helped millions of people over the world release their suffering. So she's written quite a few books. They're all awesome to read. So the first question is, you catch yourself thinking a thought like, I'll share one of my favorite thoughts. Peter doesn't listen to me, he's always too busy, right? So I'll just give you a minute to think of a dominant thought that you catch yourself thinking or saying or accusing somebody else of day after day, and it's causing you pain. Okay, so have you caught one? It can be anything like such and such hasn't contacted me for a week, so that means my life doesn't matter, I'm not important. Another one would be, I'm too fat. If I was slimmer, people would love me more, I would be more popular, that sort of thing. All right. So the first question is, question number one, you say to yourself, is this true? Okay, that's question number one. I'll just see, question. Is it true? So that's a very simple question. Is it true? And then the second question is, can you absolutely know it is true? And then the third question is, how do you react when you believe that thought? Okay, I will go through this in a minute. And you can download these questions from doing the work from Bar and Katie, and you just Google it. And then question 4 is, who would you be without that thought? So in the past we've done some therapies, and in my workshops I've said the Buddhists, they just go, not that thought, not that thought. Or you can say, I love myself for thinking this way, and that's all very helpful. But this one is going to really, really get rid of a lot of pain in your body and make you feel more joyful, kinder, and more loving in yourself. Okay, so let's use my example. So I'll pick on Peter again because he loves it when I pick on him. But actually, it's something that has bugged me for 40 years. So Peter is always so busy. When I talk to him, he doesn't listen properly. And actually, I've heard my mom say the same thing about my dad. So now I question myself, is it true? And another good question is actually, you could say, what if it isn't true? But anyway, Katie, she goes, is it true? Well, it's a bit hard actually doing it. In front of the video, I'm feeling all confused now. Certain times of the day, I would say it's true, but for now, I'll say no, it isn't true. Okay. But if I say yes, it's true, okay, let's go, I'll go back. So Peter's always so busy, he never listens to me properly because he's not fully present for me when I say stuff, and then I sometimes have to repeat myself, and then I know he hasn't heard it. Okay, and it hurts my feelings and makes me feel ignored. So is it true? Yes, I'm going to say yes. Second question, can you absolutely know it's true? Well, no, I can't absolutely know that. It just seems like that to me. I'm kind of just guessing. Actually, I'm starting to feel dizzy now. So when you feel a physical reaction in your body, you know what that means? It actually means your ego is protesting, like your ego is hanging on, and it doesn't like it when the rug is pulled out from under itself. So the ego's job is actually to kill everything but itself, because our ego, our little ego, doesn't like unconditional love. And it doesn't like anything to do with unconditional love, and it doesn't like deep and meaningful, and it doesn't like anything that it feels threatened by, because the ego identifies itself with the physical world and with security, safety, and comfort and pleasure. All right, so that's why I'm feeling a bit of a dizzy feeling when I say, how do I know? Can I absolutely know it's true? That's the second question. And in all honesty, I have to say no. I can't know absolutely that it's true. So there goes that belief already. So how do I react when I believe that thought? That Peter is always so busy, actually doesn't really have time for me, so that means I'm not important. That was really the thought. How do I react to that? It makes me feel frustrated, angry, and it makes my tummy knotted up, like in my tummy, like in my stomach. Okay, that's the question to answer 3. The answer to question 3. Who would I be without that thought? I start to feel free, so I'm starting to feel a sense of relief. I would be relieved. Imagine if I'd never thought that the thought is Peter doesn't have time to listen to me properly. I always have to stop him and force eye contact so he knows he's listening. So it gives me a forced feeling and a pressured feeling and then frustration. So who would I be without that thought? I just feel my stomach opening up and I feel a real freeing feeling. Okay, so that isn't the end of the work. So this was an easy example. I want you to start with an easy example and then work with things that are harder for you. And if you find it hard, book in for a session with me. We can do it together. Okay. So then Katie says, now you have to turn it around. So if I go back to my first example, Peter is always so busy, he doesn't have time to listen to me. Katie says, now you turn that around 3 times. So now I have to say, I'm always so busy, I don't have time to listen to me. So now I have to sit with that. Well, that's more true, of course. And remember, our bodies are like a truth detector. So it's like a metal detector. In this case, metal is the truth. So when we think a thought that's way more true, like authentically, intrinsically true, our body always reacts with a sense of belief and opening up, and stress is gone. So I'm always so busy that I don't listen to myself. Okay, so that's good. And then she says the other turnaround would be that it isn't true, so Peter does listen to me. What if it isn't true, so Peter does listen to me? How does that make me feel? So that makes me feel a lot better already. And then there is a third turnaround. So, but I'm starting to take up a lot of time here. So I really want you to consider giving this a chance this week, because it's so simple and so profound. It will really flip your whole existence around if you start doing these worksheets. And just the worksheets are called Judge Your Neighbor. So judge your neighbor. So there are more exercises. There's an exercise, I think there are 6. So one where you just literally judge the crap out of your neighbor. Let's say in my case, that could be anyone who you have a grievance or resentment towards, because these are all ways that you learn, you discover who you really are. The innocence of your own mind, cut a long story short. Okay, and so your mind will end up like a piece of Velcro again, without all this stuff weighing it down. See this? So Katie's questions are literally like peeling those thoughts out of your mind, and it's brilliant. That's why I wanted to share it with you. Absolutely brilliant. So You can go on there are lots of YouTubes that she's done. And it's great hearing it from the horse's mouth as well. So remember the different parts of our body, so we can create expansion, and that means light comes in, fresh energy comes in. We start to remember our true nature, which is unconditional love, which I always go on and on about, but it's kind of a bit hard to relate to when you're not in that experience of feeling it. Something is blocking you from feeling it, right? Something is blocking you from experiencing the full joy and magic of it. So there are different ways to get to that point of unconditional love, and one that I did tonight is question your thoughts and do the work by Byron Katie, and do that worksheet, Judge Your Neighbor, it's called. Download it from her website, which is free. It'll transform your life, and then you can revisit some of my old Facebook lives, and I'll do more work in the future. Listen to your body, what it's telling you. So don't repress your feelings, because your body is the truth detector, and it has a direct link to your spirit, like a direct highway. And then thirdly, of course, lean into your pain, lean into it, don't run away from it, don't fight it, because whatever you fight, you're giving energy to. So whatever fighting is like resisting. So you can't resist your thoughts, you have to inquire into them. Katie calls it the inquiry, and become very still, and don't fight your body, lean into it, and don't fight your emotions. You need to welcome them in and just be with them. All three aspects of your being require, stillness, becoming very, very still, and that's when you get more clarity. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and hope you found this helpful, and I'm really, really looking forward to hearing how you go with it, what sort of insights and shifts you've had, and massive releases from stresses and pain and catastrophes that you don't need to, dramas that you don't need to experience anymore. And you know what, when all that goes, because we can be a bit addicted to drama as well, but life can be much better than that. So rather than being addicted to dramas, imagine if you could live from a place of freedom, peacefulness, like unshakable peace, harmony, wisdom, light, and you don't get triggered anymore. People can say what they like, and it just doesn't even affect you in any way, shape or form. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? And then we can start to create a different community and a different world. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'm going to leave you with all this, and look forward to tuning in with you again next week. Thanks for tuning in, and have fun playing with these exercises. Bye bye.